Hey guys, it's Simon. This is Wrestling Unlimited. As well, tonight was AEW All Out. And boy, was that a long show. Boy, has this been a long day for me. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. Then I went and spent 7 hours at the lake before All Out. We get at the lake like butt crack of dawn. We leave at like 4:30, go to a buddy's house, link up with them, and we all leave together. Yeah. So I'm cracking on no sleep because I didn't go to bed till like midnight last night. Woke up at 3:30. Was at the lake all day. It was over 100 degrees. I'm freaking tired. This show was long. Not the best. A lot of people were praising this show. You fucking fools. Fucking fools. The crowd knew that this show wasn't all that great when they got tired as well. But I mean, there was some good stuff on this show. Like, I would say the best match of the night was the tag title match, even though I criticized it. You saw my Twitter. I said, man, this match is going long. Like, it's never going to end. And it went 22 and a half minutes. One of the longer matches of the night. The second longest match, I think. How long was the ladder match? Yep, second longest match of the night was the tag title match. And I liked the match, but then eventually it just dragged. It felt like it was never going to end, and then finally ended. But, I mean, if you're going to ask me, because I know I'm going to get what do you think the best match of the night? What do you think was? I think it was that tag title match. A, because the match itself was really good with all the competitors in it. Excuse me. And the crowd. Like, the crowd. Holy crap. What I liked the least, and we'll talk about here shortly, was the ladder match. As far as, like, I liked the ladder match and what it was, and then the finish just killed it. Like, what? And I knew it was MJF right off the bat. Like, everybody that has watched MJF enter a ring knew that was MJF. And then when MJF comes out at the end, to me, that was almost a little anticlimactic because without blatantly, what's the word I'm looking for? Spoiling that MJF is there. MJF is the number one contender and could be seen again later. They spoiled it. Because anybody who was anybody knew that Joker under the mask was MJF. But now we do have some questions like, when's MJF going to get his title shot? Why is MJF now linked with Stokely Hathaway and his guys? Is Stokely no longer with Jade, you know? And also, sorry for my voice, yelling at the lake all day. Losing it a little bit. Watched the guy fall off a jet ski and break his leg. Literally, he wanted to do a 360, and when he did, he fell off the side. But in a jet ski, there's like the hole where your feet sit down in. And one leg flew over. The other leg got caught in there and basically broke his leg at the shin. So, yeah. I watched a freaking fire and rescue helicopter twice come down on the lake, suck water up, and take off. I watched multiple people fall off their jet skis. I watched one guy almost get ran over by a boat because he wasn't paying attention on his kayak. And I watched the guy fall off a jet ski and break his leg. Very eventful day at the lake today. But back to the show, as far as the show does go, I thought overall it was an average pay-per-view. I thought it was an average pay-per-view, and I expected more from this because the AEW pay-per-views are usually long, but good for the most part. But with that, I do want to say thank you if you are watching live, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited. Also, I want to thank you if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Excuse me. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime or access to anybody's Amazon Prime account, then you have Prime Gaming. You take that Amazon Prime account, you take that Twitch account, you link them together, bada bing, bada boom, you're Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games. Right now, you can get Shadow of Mordor and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. 2 awesome games you can get for free. You also get free stuff for games like Fall Guys, like Rocket League, like Grand Theft Auto Online, and so forth. And one thing they always give you is one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, PWU Unlimited. Also, remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you can help us out over there by hitting the join button. Hit the join button to become a channel member. As a channel member, you get early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. Also, remember that you can get all of that, but more directly support us by heading over to patreon.com/PWU Unlimited. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something, whether that's a new game, whether that's an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fall Guys, Fortnite, or Rumbleverse. Use the code right here, PW Unlimited. Use code PW Unlimited for all Epic Games and Epic Games Store purchases. You'll be directly supporting us, whether that's on your computer, on the Epic Games Store, or in the launchers for Rumbleverse. Fall Guys, no, Rumbleverse, Fortnite, and Rocket League on your PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch. But with that, we've got a butt ton of matches to talk about, so let's do it by kicking it off with the 0 Hour pre-show. And I actually really liked the way this show started. So Excalibur and Tony Schiavone were on commentary. Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello were backstage, and they were being interviewed like they were on a red carpet kind of like entrance thing by none other than RJ City. RJ City's freaking great, but RJ City's interviewing them. They go, oh, hey, we're here at All Out. We got Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello. What are you guys wearing? Tell us about your clothes. And they're basically just like, oh, everyone here in Chicago just wants to see us make out, so let's make out. And then you start hearing honking. And they're like, who's interrupting our time? Let's go check this out. And they find out that it's Ruby Soho and Ortiz in a golf cart. They run them down. Sammy gets hit with the golf cart. Ruby freaking hits Ty over the head with a trash can. Ortiz uses the trash can on Sammy, and then they carry Sammy and Ty to the ring and start the mixed tag title match. And I'm like, oh, well, this is different, and different in a good way. I like it. So, with the match underway, Guevara was able to dispatch Ortiz, but Ruby continued to attack him. Guevara countered a Hurricane Rana attempt, and Ty kicked her for a hard landing, and I thought she freaking busted her neck or something. Ruby took a couple of bumps that I was just like, oh my God, I hope she's okay, which she broke her nose in the closing sequence, but we'll get it there in a second. So Ruby returned fire with the back suplex, allowing her to reach Ortiz for the tag. Ortiz strung together some offense, but then Guevara and Ty worked together to allow Ty to hit an assisted destroyer on Ortiz, which actually looked really awesome. Basically, Ortiz was standing there. Ty bounced off the rope. Sammy threw Ty over him, landed on Ortiz, and then did a freaking destroyer. This looked awesome. At one point, Guevara was busted open. Not sure when that actually happened. And then he hit a swanton for a 2. Anna Jay would then run down and try to interfere, but Ruby basically threw her in the steel steps and said, no, bitch, you ain't getting involved in this one. Ortiz and Ruby then countered their opponents' respective finishers into a slam for a 2. Ruby then climbed the ropes and was met by Ty, who superplexed her from the top rope to the floor on top of Guevara and Ortiz. Back in the ring, Jay grabbed Ruby's foot on a run, allowing Ty to hit her with a buckle bomb, and then the Ty KO, which actually broke Ruby's nose, to pick up the victory. They count the 1, 2, 3, and immediately Ty's like, check on Ruby. She literally goes to the referee, check on Ruby. Immediately tells the referee, check on Ruby. Referee looks over. He says something into his hot pack, and they usher Ruby out of there. She's holding her nose. It was confirmed later that Ruby did suffer some sort of a broken nose. Next up, we had Hook taking on Angelo Parker with the FTW Championship on the line. Action Bronson, who performs Hook's theme song, was shown at ringside. Since that says, I think it happened when Sammy got hit with the golf cart. I don't think so. I think it was later. He wasn't bleeding when the match first started. It was a good minute or two into when they were in the ring. I could be wrong, though. Maybe you're right. I don't know. So this was that first match was 7.5 minutes. The second match, 4 minutes, 20 seconds. FTW title match. Hook out wrestled Parker after an aggressive lockup. After a hook slam, Menard distracted the official, which allowed Parker to hit a closed-fisted punch and a suplex for a 2. Parker beat down Hook and jawed at him for a moment. Hook stopped another Menard distraction and made a comeback with a judo throw and an exploder. Parker then went for Hook's eyes, but Hook came back with another exploder. Hook then locked on the red rum, and Parker immediately tapped out. Hook, still the FTW champion. I am out of water. I should have filled this up before we went live. Next match, All Atlantic title match. It was almost a 10-minute match that I really didn't care about at all. Like, literally, the match was happening, and I didn't care. I didn't care for this match. My attention shifted back over to the NASCAR race. Because I'm kind of watching both at the same time. And freaking last 5 laps of that NASCAR race was great. Freaking shout out Eric Jones and the 43 team. First win for the 43 team since Eric Almirola won at Daytona in 2014. When they say this new car is equal and it's game changer, making lesser teams equal to the top teams, they were not lying with this new car. Eric Jones, kudos. Second win at Darlington, too. Second Southern 500. Anyways. Sabian out wrestled Pac early, but some taunting allowed Pac to get back into it after a fast-paced exchange. There's a springboard enziguri that allowed Sabian to take control. He followed this up with an Arabian press to the outside. Pac returned fire with a brainbuster on the floor, and unbeknownst to Taz, Kip Sabian was the only Sabian on this show tonight. He literally called Chris Sabin Kurt Sabian. We'll get to that later. There was a very long control segment for Pac. Sabian eventually came back with a strike combination and a German suplex, but Pac fired back with one of his own. He wanted to go for the Black Arrow, but Sabian rolled out of the way and hit a tornado DDT, followed by a slingshot suplex for a 2. There's I think it was like a Northern Light suplex. He got a 2 off of that. Sabian then talked to the box at ringside. I think he's the new Al Snow. Pac dropped him with a strong forearm and laid in some stomps, hit the Black Arrow, and picked up the victory. So after the match, Pac did an interview with Tony Schiavone, but Orange Cassidy would interrupt and basically say that he wants a shot at the All Atlantic Championship, where Pac would state, quote, "You're not a wrestler. You're a joke." You remember what happened the last time we wrestled or we had a fight or something like that. But he did say, quote, "You're not a wrestler. You're a joke." And they mentioned the last time they had a match. Now, here's my thing. I used to not be a fan of Orange Cassidy. Nick used to always try to tell me how Orange Cassidy is funny and the stuff he does is comedy and that I should just get over the gimmick and that he's actually really good and da-da-da-da. But his matches with Pac, the last match he had with Pac, made me like Orange Cassidy as far as going, holy crap, he's really good in the ring. Because before the Pac stuff, all he was the gimmick in AEW. And I'm going to be honest. I maybe before AEW saw like 1 or 2 Orange Cassidy matches. Didn't really know who he was before AEW. And so when AEW first started, in that first year or so, it was like, oh, he's just the gimmick. He's just the gimmick. Then they get to Revolution. They do the match with Pac, and I go, oh, this guy can go. This guy can go. I like him. So as Pac and Orange Cassidy are going at it, they go back to the ring, and Kip Sabian's yelling at his box, like, this was your fault, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I go, oh, yeah, he's just Al Snow. And that box's head, he's just freaking Al Snow. Wow, okay, they went that way. But Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. Match went 13 minutes and 45 seconds. And this was how do you say it? This was all as good as their first match in New Japan, if not better. If not better. This match, as the kids say, humped. This match humped. I have. Hey, K Ballard, how about some real English there in the live chat? Also, remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can do so by texting or calling in at the end at 2510-906-1341. So this match, they immediately started trading chops, and they continued to do so for a couple of minutes. Ishii hit a series of chops, and Kingston fired up and smashed Ishii with a double down. Ishii laid in some chops and forearms in the corner before eventually hitting a suplex. Actually, the first actual like slam suplex type move of the match. Kingston popped up and hit a suplex of his own, a DDT, and a sliding D for a 2. He laid in even more hard chops, but Ishii shrugged them off and fired out of the corner with a shoulder block. Kingston popped off a soccer kick and laid in to each. They laid into each other with slaps, which the crowd loved. The crowd wasn't tired yet. Kingston went for something off the top rope, but it all didn't work, so he sold his shoulder like he was injured. They traded backdrops and suplexes and so forth before Ishii hit a strong standing lariat, and there was another double down spot by 2 lariats. At one point, Kingston fought out of Ishii's brainbuster and hit a Uraken for a great near fall. They traded more slaps and chops. Kingston hit another Uraken. Ishii fired back with a headbutt. Kingston hit the Northern Lights bomb and picked up the victory. So these two are 1-1. Ishii is 1 in New Japan. Kingston is 1 in AEW. Now the question is, where's the rubber match and when? I could watch these two go at it all day, every day. All day, every day. So the main show starts off in commentary. It was basically Excalibur and Taz. Tony Schiavone did the first half, and then JR came in later for the second half, with Tony leaving. The match that kicks off the show is the 14-minute, 15-second ladder match. It was the casino ladder match. And this match was really good, like great, until that shitty-ass finish where literally everybody on Twitter is going, Retribution, Retribution, is that Retribution, Retribution, Retribution? When you got to think, hey, Tony Khan, did you at all ever think doing this would bring up Retribution thoughts in people's minds? Did you ever think, I'm going to have a bunch of guys go out there dressed in all black with hoods on, we don't know who they are, at least at first, and go just wreck shop and destroy everybody? Did you not think, they may think that's that failed Retribution thing WWE tried? Did you not think that? That was the first thing I thought of. That was the first thing about 5 people that messaged me thought of. And I saw a bunch of other people like Ryan Satin and stuff tweeting out, Retribution? Retribution? Tony, did you not think that people were going to compare this to Retribution? That was a bum-ass move if I've ever seen one. Wheeler Yuta and Rey Fenix were the first 2 entrants in this match. Fenix immediately set up a ladder bridge, and Yuta sent him crashing into it before landing a tope suicida. Roosh was out next, and Fenix prevented Yuta from climbing the ladder. He sent Yuta into the ladder with an overhead belly-to-belly before taking out Fenix for the tope con Grillo. Andrade El Idolo, the partner of Roosh, would come out next, and the commentary kept going, they're buddies, they're partners, or however you say it. Are they going to work together, or are eventually going to have to go into business for themselves? I mean, eventually they will have to go into business for themselves, and they did. Roosh was about to climb the ladder, then he backed off, and he and Andrade set up a ladder bridge in the ring before sending Fenix into it. They both started to climb, but Yuta pulled Rush down and met Andrade at the top. Andrade then took out Yuta with a sick-looking sunset flip bomb over the ladder, onto the ladder bridge. Ooh, that looked like it hurt. Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor World Champion, came out next, and he pushed Andrade up and off the ladder to the floor. This is a weird segment here where, like, Andrade's on the ladder, and the ladder's stuck in the bridge, and then this happens, and he's, like, trying to push it, and it's not going, and this got a little awkward. Dante Martin then came out next, and it was weird. Dante's music hits, and the crowd just goes from like, oh, maybe it was just the way they were mic'd, but it sounded like freaking They were into this match. Dante Martin comes out and they just went silent for about 30 seconds. We fought off both Rey Fenix and Claudio. While he wrestled, Yuta set up a ladder in the ring, but Dante sprung to the ladder and dispatched Yuta. Claudio then did a pop-up uppercut, but he didn't get the uppercut because Dante landed on the ladder. On the exchange, both slipped to the outside. Penta then came out next and immediately crushed Dante with a destroyer on the ramp and Roosh with a sliding blade on the floor. He continued to run wild on everybody, taking out Yuta with a super kick and Claudio with a backstabber. Phoenix then cut off Roosh with a top rope kick before Penta hit Andrade with a destroyer on the ladder bridge. Phoenix did a frog splash off the top rope to a table on the floor that had Roosh on it. Claudio and Yuta then climbed the ladder in the ring, but Dante sprung onto Claudio's back. Then, all of a sudden, a group of masked men would make their way down to the ring. The group then dispatched of everybody at ringside, and one smaller man climbed the ladder as the countdown started going off, basically. He grabbed the chip, which means somebody has just won this match, and they go, "What just happened here? What just happened here? Who is that?" He reveals, woo, it's Stokely Hathaway. Stokely gets down and like, Stokely's not an actual competitor, so if he hands that chip off to any of these men here, as we see, it's the Gun Club, it's Lee Moriarty, it's Ethan Page, it's W. Morrissey. They said if he hands that chip to any of these men, that makes them the Joker and they win this match. Then, Rolling Stones song starts playing about a devil, and someone in a devil mask walks out, and they're walking down. They do the head goes down. The way they get in the ring, they wipe the feet, and then they do the thing in the ring where they put one leg in, and then they sweep in really quickly and do like a spin. And like, well, that's MJF. There's no ifs, ands, buts, doubts about it. That's MJ freaking F. Look how he got in the ring. That's how MJF gets in the ring. And so the masked man walks over to Stokely, takes the chip, and they go, "That's the Joker. He has won this match in a future world title shot." And he teases taking off the mask, and takes off the mask, and then he flips off the crowd. And I was like, eh. By the time the show ended, I was like, oh yeah, there's way too many middle fingers here. It got way too cute. Like they're thinking, oh yeah, we're going to be hardcore by flipping off the fans a bunch tonight. Oh, our middle fingers. No. AEW tries too hard sometimes. There's a lot of people trying to be tough and hard, flipping people off, flipping the crowd off. So the masked man walked off. The other men followed him off. And everybody on Twitter goes, what the fuck did we just see? What the hell was that? And it kind of took me out of it. And I was just like, okay, so we get this incredible ladder match to end it like that? Who's booking this shit? Vince McMahon? Like when we had a great Money in the Bank ladder match and Ali was at the top of the ladder and all of a sudden out comes Brock Lesnar to win? That's what I thought. When you have a great ladder match and then you just have some random guy because he's your star come out and win it after not doing anything, really killed it. It killed it big time for me. Like, okay, Vince McMahon. Oh, my bad, Tony Khan. That felt like grade A Vince booking. Next up, Don Callis joined commentary for the AEW World Trios Championship match, the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, with Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa against Hangman Page and the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Match went 17 minutes. This match was fun, really, really good, and probably the second best match of the night. Like I said, that tag title match, and maybe the tag title match just for the crowd, and maybe this one had the better work. But I like this match a lot. So Nick and Hangman Page wrestled early on here to a stalemate at the start. Matt spat at Reynolds, which pissed him off. Eventually, we finally got our Omega Page standoff, but before they could really get started, Silver tagged himself in, and the Dark Order targeted Omega's arm. Page did a follow-away slam on Omega, but ran into a super kick. Again, super late. Didn't get no sleep last night, really. Woke up super early, out in the sun all day. I mean, shit, you can see my tan line. Look at that tan line. Look at that tan line. Wearing a tank top and a life vest and shit. Yeah, I was in the sun all day. I'm tired. Well, let's get this going. Page did follow a slam on Omega, but ran into a super kick and a springboard clothesline attempt. The Bucks then ran wild and took out the Dark Order. The Elite cut the ring in half, isolating Page in their corner. Omega hit the Kataro Crusher for a 2. Eventually, Page fought back and hit a Death Valley driver, allowing him to reach Silver for a tag. Silver ran wild on everyone, including Cutler and Nakazawa, before hitting a running soccer kick. Running into a soccer kick from Nick. Silver recovered, and he and Reynolds hit tope suicidas and did vertical suplexes. The Spin Doctor followed this up for a near fall. Matt then fought off the Dark Order with a double Northern Light suplex. Omega tagged in and hit a diving crossbody on Silver, followed by a Snapdragon suplex on Reynolds and Page. Silver then cut Omega off and hit a kick combination, but Omega recovered to hit a third Snapdragon suplex. At one point, the Bucks and Silver and Reynolds all took each other out with four-way super kicks. Page and Omega faced off in the ring and pulled their respective partners to their corners, tagged themselves in, because they were like, no, you guys aren't the legal men. You can't fight right now. What are you guys doing? They traded forearms and then running strikes before Omega hit the J Driller for a near fall. Omega then climbed the ropes, but Page hit him up top and landed a moonsault power slam. Page hit the buckshot lariat to the back of the head, then I wrote this way wrong. Page hit a buckshot lariat to the back of the head. Matt then distracted Page. Omega collapsed and on Page's attempt, and Nick leveled Page with the buckshot of his own. The Bucks then hit the BTE trigger, but Reynolds barely broke up the pin at the last second. Page then collapsed, avoiding a V trigger from Omega. Silver rolled up Omega for a great near fall. He went for the Brody Lee discus clothesline or discus forearm, and Omega caught him and put him in the electric chair, but Silver rolled him up yet again for an awesome close-looking near fall. Silver then set Omega up for the buckshot, but Omega rolled out of the way, and Page smashed into Silver, allowing Omega to cover, pick up the win, become the inaugural first time ever AEW World Series champions. So the Elite celebrate. The Elite then walk up the ramp. As they walk up the ramp, Kenny Omega looks into the camera and says, and I quote, let me pull up the quote here. I have it on, I didn't write it down in my notes, but I have it on Twitter. He says, and I quote, "You boys in the back, hey, don't back away from me. Hey, don't fucking back away. You boys in the back, try to beat that, bitch. Try to beat that." And then the Elite leave. So, Omega with some shots. We then had the TBS title match, Jade Cargill versus Athena. This was not all that good. Jade Cargill came out as She-Hulk, which looked awesome. And I had someone on Twitter going, "Oh, the crowd didn't care for the She-Hulk thing. You can hear a pin drop." And I'm like, "You not watching the same show?" I literally said, "Are you not watching the same show?" You can hear on the broadcast, they popped a little for the She-Hulk stuff. And he goes, "I talked to somebody watching, and they said you can hear a pin drop." And I go, "Watching what, live?" I just asked somebody I know there if she got a good reaction, and they said yes. Like, people, I hate when people, they do it here on these live chats too, but I hate when people try to come at me on Twitter and go, "Oh yeah, no, that was shit," or this and that, and then I try to say no, and they go, "Oh no, it was," and try to prove me wrong, when I'm like, no, I'm not wrong. I literally just confirmed with somebody that was there live in the building, sucker. And then the guy never commented on anything else of mine all night, which was funny. But this match, particularly not all that good. It was one of the better Jade matches, but again, still not all that good. So they made it seem like Athena was about to win this match like 2 minutes in. Athena took flight. She hit a Meteora. She hit the O-face. And the baddies pulled her out of the ring. And I go, "Hey, ref, ain't that a DQ? What are we doing here, sucker?" And this distraction allowed Jade to hit a Samoan drop and a spear for a 2 after Athena jumped back into the ring. Jade smashed Athena with a forearm and just tossed her around. Athena countered the Jaded into a pinning predicament for a 2. Jade countered another O-face attempt into a Jaded, but Athena reversed it into a thrust kick and a stunner for a 2. Jade then reversed a springboard into a bicycle kick, hit the Jaded, and pinned Athena to win the match. And I think she's now 37-0. 37-0, I believe. What the graphics said on the screen. Earlier in the day, Alex Marvez intercepted CM Punk and Ace Steel walking into the building. He's like, CM, hey, CM. I thought that was so funny. And then Excalibur and Taz also rib Marvez for calling him CM. But anyways, he asked Punk if he was 100%. And Punk goes, I don't think I've ever gone into any fight 100%. But Moxley isn't just fighting Punk. He's fighting the city of Chicago. He has dog Larry with him. Apparently, before the show, Larry got loose and ran down to the ring, got a huge pop from the crowd, and they had to go retrieve the dog before the show started. Next up in a match that I honestly did not care about till the post-match. It was Wardlaw and FTR against Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. There's literally nothing in this match that I liked. I mean, that's being a little harsh. That's being a little harsh. I can't say that. There was stuff that I liked, but the match itself just was never really there for me. I never got into it. And I felt like the crowd never fully got into it either. Again, watched half this match, and I was like, yeah, let's see what's happening in the NASCAR. It's off. God, which blew an engine after being the best car all night. Yeah. Anyways, I was not happy then. But regardless, early on, Wardlow teased the powerbomb on Lethal, leading to the Motor City Machine Guns running in and allowing Lethal to escape. Taz then said, that's Kurt Sabian. I go, no, it's not. It's Chris Sabin, not Kurt Sabian, Taz. Anyways, FTR and the Motor City Machine Guns faced off, with Dax fighting off both guns and landing a short-armed clothesline on Sabin. And I think one of the reasons this match did nothing for me was because there was no stakes. There was no reason for this match. You had two sets of champions. You had the TNT champion Wardlow, who could have defended his belt, and you had the AAA, the ROH, and the IWGP Tag Team Champions who could have defended them belts as well. Also, this felt like a match you could have done on Dynamite. Why did this need to be on the pay-per-view? There's a couple of these that felt like they could have been Dynamite matches. Or even Rampage matches. So FTR regained control and hit an assisted senton. Wardlow tagged in and took out both guns. Killing machine guns with a double suplex. Dax locked on a sharpshooter, but a distraction from Sanjay allowed Lethal and his team to take control and cradle Dax for a 2. They isolated Dax on their side of the ring, and there were some frequent tags and double team moves. Dax eventually reached Cash for the tag, and he ran wild on Shelley with a lariat and a bulldog. He countered a sliced bread into a gory bomb for a 2. Shelley fired back with a drop kick to Cash's knee, which came back as the target later. Lethal then locked on the figure 4, but Cash fought out and reached Wardlow for a hot tag. After a triple team, Lethal landed a top rope elbow drop for a 2. FTR got back involved, but they were cut off with a double lethal injection. Wardlow crushed Lethal with a headbutt and a lariat before pulling the straps down. He set Lethal up and started a powerbomb symphony, 4 powerbombs to boot, and Wardlow picked up the victory. Again, the whole thing really was kind of anticlimactic. After the match, Lethal and company teased getting back into the ring when Sweet Tooth, or should I say Samoa Joe, would make his way out to the ring. He took out Satnam Singh with the belt shot, and they cornered Sanjay in the ring. This is when Dax Harwood's daughter would come down, snap Sanjay's pencil, and then basically stand on him and pin him 1, 2, 3. Great moment here. Post-match was a million times better than anything that happened in the match. Another match I didn't care about, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. It was a 5-minute match, and Powerhouse Hobbs beat his ass. Ricky went right after Hobbs, but was leveled as the big man targeted Starks' midsection. It was all about Hobbs in the early goings, and it was all about Hobbs in the late goings. Starks at one point hit a tornado DDT and got a 2 off of it. He then ran the ropes and looked for a spear, but Hobbs smashed him, hit him with a spine buster, and pinned him to pick up the victory. Tony Schiavone then left commentary, and Jim Ross joined. Next up, we had what I call the probably match of the night. AEW World Tag Team title match. It was Swerve in Our Glory against the Acclaimed. Match went 22 and a half minutes. So they were billing this as the tag champs against the guys that have more wins than any other tag team in AEW history. And the Acclaimed were very popular here. So early on, the crowd's chanting, "Oh, bask in his glory. Oh, bask in his glory." Right, for Keith Lee. And the match gets underway, and all of a sudden we hear, "Oh, scissor me, daddy. Oh, scissor me, daddy." And I'm like, whoa, are you fucking kidding me right now? And they start just going and going. A Swerve cuts off Caster early on and mocks the Acclaimed as he and Lee wrestled a little heelish. Lee landed his overhead chops. Caster eventually escaped and reached to Bowens for the hot tag. Bowens did a neck breaker on Swerve, followed by a crossbody. He follows up with the Famouser, but couldn't cover because he has a hurt knee. Bowens tried to recover with Billy, but Swerve kept up the relentless attack and mocked them. Swerve targeted Bowens' injured knee as Swerve in Our Glory isolated Bowens. Bowens eventually fought back and got a blockbuster on Lee and reached Caster for hot tag. I think this was when they again started chanting, "Oh, scissor me, daddy. Oh, scissor me, daddy." Caster then fought off both of Swerve and Our Glory with some dives. There was a crossbody on Lee. They got a 2. Caster tried to put Lee on his shoulders. Lee fought out, but inadvertently pounced Swerve out of the ring, and Bowens nailed a Shining Wizard for a 2. Swerve at one point went for a springboard, but Bowens pulled him down and allowed Caster to hit the mic drop. Did to the floor. Lee and Billy faced off, allowing Caster to hit an awesome attitude adjustment on Lee. Caster then hit a mic drop on Swerve, but Lee broke it up at the last second for an awesome near fall. Caster and Swerve fought on the apron, and Swerve hit a Death Valley driver. Swerve then hit a backbreaker on Bowens, who valiantly tried to fight off both Swerve and Our Glory. Lee had it under control, but Swerve inadvertently kicked Lee, and Bowens rolled him up for another great near fall. Swerve and Our Glory then recovered, hit a Doomsday double stomp, and picked up the victory. Swerve and Our Glory retain the tag team titles. Like, you see all the people on Twitter, Tony Khan needs to call an audible. Tony Khan needs to call an audible. Tony Khan needs to change this match, and the Acclaim need to win. They're over. Yeah, they're over tonight. But who's to say that wherever we go on Wednesday, they're this over again? After the match, Lee and Billy scissored. The crowd didn't really like that, and they booed it a little bit. Next up, we had the interim women's title match. Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. Match went 14 and a half minutes, and I'm going to say it right now, this match was decent. And this is when we first realized, oh, this crowd is tired. I sent out a tweet going, this crowd seems very tired. And someone who was there live responds back and goes, oh, yes, we are. So Shida and Hayter all alone early on, but Baker got involved. And then the 4 women started trading cradles and whatnot. There was a lot of ins and outs, and no one woman really maintained control a lot throughout this match. You'd get control for about a minute, and then you'd get taken down, and somebody else would take control. Storm and Shida at one point had a back and forth exchange in the ring, laying into each other with shoulder blocks and forearms. Rebel got involved at one point, leading to Shida and Storm basically headbutting her right in the tits. They freaking headbutted Rebel right in the tits. Baker and Hayter attacked Shida on the ramp, leading to the trainers coming out to check on Shida. Shida was taken to the back. Back in the ring, Hayter and Baker choked out Storm. They took turns dominating on Storm in the ring until Shida finally all of a sudden just ran back down, not with one kendo stick, but with 2. Dispatching Baker, hitting an outside in a suplex over the ropes to Hayter, and got a 2. They lost the crowd even more here. Bill Baker and Hayter locked on a double pin for a 2. Hayter and Shida were left standing in the ring, with Shida hitting a step-up enziguri and a Falcon Arrow for a 2. There's a parade of big moves here, and all the women kind of interrupted the other, hitting their stuff and trying to get the pin and this and that. And Baker hit a curb stomp on Sheeta for a close near fall. Storm then sent Baker to the floor, and then Hayter dispatched of Storm and then hit the ripcord lariat. She had the match all won, but Baker pulled the ref out of the ring, causing Jamie Hayter to not win the belt. Hayter was pissed. Storm then hit Hayter with the Storm Zero. Britt Baker would jump into the ring, push Toni Storm out. She tried to go for the pin on Jamie Hayter. 1-2, great near fall. Storm sent Baker packing with a DDT and hit the same on Hayter to pick up the win. Toni Storm becomes the interim AEW Women's World Champion. And here's the thing. So I forgot to mention, in the scrum, I only watched up to the Toni Storm part, but in the scrum, they were asked about the reaction from the crowd towards the Acclaimed, and if Tony would have called the audible, or why he didn't call the audible, and this and that. And Tony Khan was basically like, this match got over really well. We have another big show coming up, Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium. He goes, maybe we should do this match back. Again, the tag team champions against the team with the most wins in AEW history. And Swerve just goes, why? And I'm like, here's my thoughts exactly, bud. He's literally looking at Tony Khan and just like, why? Like, what do they do to deserve a rematch? Basically, Keith Lee was like, well, if that's what you want to do, you're the boss, let's do it. Sure, why not? But Swerve, he was all kinds of like, why? Nuh-uh. So Toni Storm did her post-match scrum as well. And at one point, basically, they asked her about being the interim champion. They said, Jon Moxley never liked being called interim. He didn't like the I word. What are your thoughts on being the interim champion? She goes, it's not ideal, but Thunder Rosa's injured. Okay. When Thunder Rosa's willing to come back and say she isn't injured, then she can come back and lose to me. She looks at Toni Storm or Tony Khan and goes, and then that'll put an end to that story. That'll put an end to that. Then her and Tony Khan start laughing. Like, what? Tony Khan, what are you doing? You're like, I can see Toni Storm laughing because she does not believe that Thunder Rosa is really injured. But you're going to laugh about it as well? Come on, bro. Be more professional. Next up, it was supposed to be Christian versus Jungle Boy, or as they called him, Jungle Jack Perry. They called him on the rundown, Jungle Jack Perry. Anyways, Christian's in the ring. Jungle Boy comes out. He's on the stage. He then starts to walk down the ramp, turns around and goes back to the entrance. And I'm like, where's he going? And Luchasaurus walks up. And I'm like, oh, Luchasaurus is just on the wrong side. Luchasaurus came out the heel side. Luchasaurus is wearing the black mask. All of a sudden, Jungle Boy turns around. Luchasaurus grabs him and chokeslams him on the steel grates. He then basically carries him down to the ringside area, plants him through a table with a high cross, throws him into the ring. The bell rings. Ding, ding, ding. 30 seconds later, Christian hits a spear. Christian hits a kill switch and pins him 1, 2, 3. So, the reason this match was a non-match, Christian's injured. Don't know what the injury is, but Christian is injured. We then learned that Death Triangle will have a trios match on Dynamite against Best Friends. Basically, this is all to lead to Pac and Orange Cassidy for the belt. Next up, Chris Jericho and Bryan Danielson in an almost 23-minute match. Over 23-minute match. Over 23-minute match. Match was, I thought the match was going to be better. Crowd wasn't into it at all for the most part. And maybe that's what pulled me out of it, was the crowd not really being into it. But at the same time, I expected more out of this match, if I'm going to be honest. If I'm really going to be honest. So during their lockups, Daniel Garcia was shown backstage watching on. Danielson was able to attack with some quick stomps, forcing Jericho to roll to the floor and regroup. He continued to out-wrestle Jericho and gained a moment of control, but then backed off. Danielson fought out of a submission and laid in some ground and pound before Jericho negated an armbar attempt. He traded chops until Jericho hit a double underhook backbreaker. Danielson then briefly fought back, but Jericho cut him off with a springboard dropkick. Danielson then countered a plancha with a knee before following it up with a diving knee strike. Back in the ring, Danielson laid in some yes kicks, but Jericho countered into the walls. After a long fight, Danielson escaped and landed a tope suicida. Danielson climbed the ropes. Jericho avoided a diving headbutt, but Danielson avoided the lion salt and went for the label lock. They jockeyed for position until Jericho hit a tombstone pile driver and a lion salt for a 2. Danielson then fired back and kicked Jericho right in the head. He applied the label lock, but somehow Jericho fought out and turned it into a lion tamer. Not just a Walls Jericho, but a lion. No, Walls here. Danielson transitioned to a triangle, forcing Jericho to reach the ropes. Danielson then ran the ropes, and Jericho turned it into something of a code breaker for a 2. Then he applied the lion tamer. But Danielson reached the ropes. Danielson mostly flipped out of a German suplex here, kinda like he does the back flip out of the German, but he doesn't get the full rotation, and it looks like him and Jericho basically clonk heads. Jericho laying on the mat, Danielson coming down trying to land on his feet. He then hits the Busaku knee for a near fall. Danielson then landed locked in a cattle mutilation, but Jericho reached the ropes. He laid in repeated kicks until Jericho rolled him up for a 2. Danielson then laid in hammer and anvil elbows, but then Jericho got up, and they were basically like pushed into the corner, but the ref was in the corner. She's like, "No, you're not gonna knock me out." And then she was distracted by not getting knocked down. Jericho, kicks Brian in the balls, does the Judas effect, which he barely got any of. Danielson literally just gets knocked out. Boom! Flat back bump. 1, 2, 3. Jericho gets the pin, and the crowd goes mild. Less than mild. They go, "Oh, okay." After the match, Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation Society celebrated without Daniel Garcia since he made the point to not come out. Then I go, main event time. No, it's not. We still had another 6-man tag that I completely forgot about. It was Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro against House of Black. I'm just going to say that I'm not even going to review this match because I didn't watch this match. I saw that it was just Darby getting his ass beat, so I said there's 15 laps left in the NASCAR race. Let's go. So basically, Darby kept getting his ass beat, and Darby kept getting his ass beat. And what happens in a Darby match? He keeps getting his ass beat, and ass beat, and ass beat, and ass beat. And then what happens at the end? Darby freaking slips out of victory. And what happened in this match? Yeah, Miro got some good offense. Yeah, Sting got some good offense. But then, well, Darby slipped out of victory. That's all I'm going to say. When I saw for 5 minutes, Darby's just getting his ass beat. And beat. I look over at my other screen and I go, 15 laps left in this NASCAR race. Eric Jones is leading. I need to see how this goes. Yeah. So I'm going to be completely honest. This match did nothing for me for the first 5 minutes, so I completely was out of it. I watched the end of the NASCAR race. I came back to it, and I saw freaking Sting doing some stuff, and then Darby pick up the pin with a Last Supper cradle. That's all I got to say about that. Because I'm over it. I'm over Darby. I really am. I liked Darby when AEW first started. But the more we get of Darby, it's the more of the same. Beat Darby's ass. Beat Darby's ass. Darby has a dive. Beat Darby's ass. Beat Darby's ass. Darby gets a move. Beat Darby's ass. Beat Darby's ass. Darby hits a dive. Beat Darby's ass. Beat Darby's ass. Beat Darby's ass. All of a sudden, what the hell? 1, 2, 3. Darby just won? Like, Brody King said it in the promo leading up to this match. Darby, you didn't beat me in the coffin match. I fell into the coffin. The lid fell on me. I basically closed the lid on top of me, and you just survived. But interestingly, we didn't see this on TV or on the broadcast. After the match, the House of Black embraced Malachi Black. Malachi then kissed to the crowd and bowed as if symbolizing, maybe I'm done. We do know that Malachi Black asked for his release, and initially it was said, you're not getting it. He's reportedly signed with AEW till 2027. But it was reported that he asked for his release. He did kind of like a bye-bye kind of thing in the ring for the live crowd. And yeah, let me see if I can find a video of it. So, Malachi Black. Someone had to have maybe posted it. I don't know. But he hugged all members of the not Dark Order, House of Black. He then blew a kiss to the crowd and bowed. So Tony Khan was asked at the press conference here. This is what I'm seeing on Twitter. It says, quote, Tony Khan plays into the narrative that Malachi Black is leaving AEW. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do something here. You guys are not gonna hear this, but I'm gonna hear it really fast because I want to hear Tony Khan's quote. So give me 1 second. I want to hear what Tony Khan says. So the question is there anything we should know going on with Malachi Black? And Tony Khan says, that's something I can't really comment on right now. That was something he did for the live fans. It got a lot of people talking. There's a lot of, I can't comment on that in this media scrum by Tony Khan. But yeah, so he was asked about what all that was with Malachi Black. And he was just like, yeah, I can't answer that. Something he did for the live crowd, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I don't see any like fan footage of it or anything. Yeah, no. Because you would think maybe somebody caught that on camera. Some sort of fan footage. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I don't see anything, unfortunately. But everybody was tweeting about it. So back to, we got our main event. No, for the main event. Again, kudos. Eric Jones at this moment wins the race. Holds off Danny Hamlin, who was catching him. But, Danny was better into the corner. Eric Jones had the better fire off. Eric Jones wins the race. Anyways. Dan Garcia was in the back. Tony Schiavone's like, hey, why didn't you go celebrate with the Jericho Appreciation Society? And Jericho walks up and goes, yeah, where were you? He's like, I told you, Chris, that I stand with you, but I thought that you'd be able to defeat Brian without having to cheat. And what did you do out there? You cheated. And Jericho goes, okay, well, how about this? You didn't come out for us. We're not coming out for you. Wednesday, the biggest match of your career. You're going to face Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship. You're going to do it alone because I'm not coming out there. We're not going to be there for you. And I'm like, why? Biggest match of your career. This is the second time now you've fought for the Pure title in, I think, as many months. And what did you do to deserve this? Like, all of a sudden, just randomly last week, next week on Dynamite, it'll be the Pure Championship, the ROH Pure Championship on the line when Wheeler Yuta defends against Daniel Garcia. And I'm like, again? Really? Okay. So 2 matches have been announced for next week's AEW Dynamite. Again, the Raw ROH Pure Championship will be on the line when Wheeler Yuta defends against Daniel Garcia. Also, you got a 6-man tag team match or a trios tag team match. It's a Dex Triangle pack. Penta and Phoenix take on the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Then we have our main event that went 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Early on, they jockey for position, but Punk hit the high kick. This time, the foot didn't go out. Well, because he used the other foot. People were like on Twitter, oh, the foot's fine. Well, he used the other foot here. There's a quick exchange later, and Punk hit the GTS for an awesome early near fall, making you think the match was going to end early. Basically the same thing Athena did in the TBS title match. I hit a couple moves. I hit my finish. I go for the pin. You think I'm going to beat the champion. It's not over. Crowd going nuts for Punk here in Chicago. Punk landed a tope suicida, and they brawled into the stands. Back towards the ring, Punk sent Moxley into the steel steps. But Moxley returned fire and busted Punk open. Punk was bleeding all over the place like he was looking like John Cena against JBL bloody. Triple H at WrestleMania 20. Well, not as much as Triple H, but pretty close to Triple H WrestleMania 20 blood. So, Punk, like I said, was bleeding all over. Moxley continued to lay in some chops and forearms until Punk came back with his rising knee. Moxley stopped the Bulldog, follow up, and attacked Punk's surgically repaired foot. Punk actually said in the scrum, worst injury he ever had. He said that he basically shattered the bone. A 1-hour surgery that he was supposed to have ended up being a 4-hour surgery. He was bedridden for 2 weeks, and he would have been bedridden for 3 if his wife didn't make him get out of bed. Moxley locked on a modified deathlock, but Punk was able to escape by raking the eyes of Moxley. Again, I apologize for all this yawning. That wasn't enough to gain control, though, as Moxley continued to target Punk's leg. Moxley hit a pile driver, a very stiff-looking pile driver. He just literally grabbed him and boom! Punk regained control by sending Moxley into the ring post and applied an Anaconda Vice. Moxley escaped and kicked Punk in the head. Punk climbed the ropes, went for a diving elbow, but Moxley locked on a rear naked choke before transitioning into a bulldog choke. Punk escaped and hit another high kick, but Mox quickly fired back with the rebound lariat for a double down spot. They traded finisher attempts here, but Punk laid in some punches and hit a neck breaker. And Punk laid in some bad looking punches, and I go, oh, those are like his UFC punches. Non-committal punches. Moxley blocks a GTS and hits a Death Rider for a great near fall. Mox locked on a bulldog. Punk then tried to do power out and eventually rolled through before hitting a GTS, but couldn't follow up as Moxley collapsed. Punk then hit a second GTS, got the victory, and there we go. Punk wins the title in Chicago. He's got the belt. He's in the ring. The lights go out. We then hear a voicemail. Tony Khan calling somebody, who we then learn is MJF. He's like, hey, we need you to come back. I'll put you in the casino ladder match. I'll give you this. I'll pay you beep, 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 beep amount of money. Hey, Willie boy. No, fuck you. Fuck Kyle Busch. Fuck you, Willie boy. Hey, who's this on my hat? Kyle frickin' Busch, buddy boy. Come on my chat and say fuck Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch had the best car of the race. And then what happened? His team let him down because they gave him a car that didn't have a good enough motor, and the motor fucking failed. Are we done with Joe Gibbs Racing yet? One of the best teams in NASCAR, but they fumbled the ball with Kyle Busch this year. They fumbled the ball with Kyle Busch this year. Like, come on, Joe. Give him the paycheck. I get it. Kyle Busch going to have to take a payday or pay cut because he can't get his $17 million anymore. No team can afford that. But maybe Chevy's going to come in and help Colleague pay him that. That's the rumor. Kyle Busch may be going to Colleague Racing with backing from Chevy. Let's do it. Let's do it. Fuck Joe Gibbs Racing for all this back and forth rigmarole with Kyle Busch. Anyways. So we hear this voicemail of Tony Khan basically telling MJF, you need to come back at All Out. If you come back at All Out, you won't have to sign a contract extension. You'll be in the casino ladder match and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Then we see the guy in the mask. He turns around, takes the mask off, and we reveal it's MJF from behind. And he's like, I am. He says something about the devil and then goes, and I am the devil himself. Takes off the mask, throws the Burberry scarf on, and he walks out. MJF's music plays, crowd pops for a minute, and I just go, yeah, this means nothing to me right now. I'm a big MJF fan. I really like MJF, but we already knew this was coming, kind of. It was very obvious that Joker was MJF. So this was no surprise at all. So this whole segment here to close the show, to me at least, and you guys can have your own opinions. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. I will never knock somebody for not agreeing with me. Now, if you're going to come in my chat and say, fuck Kyle Busch, because you don't like Kyle Busch, that's a whole different story. But if I have an opinion on a wrestling angle, and someone goes, no, I really liked it, then cool, you really liked it. But it fell flat for me because basically we knew MJF was there. We knew MJF was the Joker. So if they didn't do the Joker thing, or Stokely, here's what they should have done. They should have had, I guess you could say, the whole thing with the guys beating everybody down. Stokely grabs the chip and then leaves. Doesn't give it to anybody. They go, whoa, what about the Joker? And then Stokely says something about, you'll learn about the Joker later or something. I don't know. And so when MJF's music hits, that should have been the first time we knew MJF was there. That should have been the first time there's any hint or semblance of MJF on this show. And then MJF could have walked out. Stokely could have walked out, handed him the chip, and there we go. That's not how it happened. It happened where we knew MJF was already there. All the excitement was kind of just dead for me. And again, maybe other people liked it. According to according to Tony Khan, he said that a lot of people are telling me that was a great ending to the show. Yeah, who? Because I got a lot of people telling me that they didn't like it. But anyways. MJF basically does the whole title motion and then flips off the crowd in Chicago. He's like, I ain't doing this here, but that title's coming home with me. And we go off the air. Then we get the scrums where frickin' CM Punk goes off on frickin' Colt Cabana, the EVPs, and Hangman Page. And a guy wearing I assume a Pittsburgh Penguins shirt or jersey or something, hat maybe, I don't know. And a little on Tony Khan. Basically, he goes off on Colt Cabana, or should I say Scott Colton. He's like, it's 2022. I shouldn't have to be talking about this and that and da-da-da-da-da. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to play the audio. I'm going to play the audio. I'm not going to show it. I can't show it, but I'm just, fuck it. I'm going to play the audio here of not MJF, CM Punk in the scrum. We're just going to play the audio for you guys to listen to.
Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013.
Might be a little
and the
low.
fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him. Want nothing to do with him. Do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing. And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. But
talking to the media,
what did I ever do in this world to deserve an
if they push the narrative of the
fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam?
So when he said "fuck you," if you had anything to do with this, he's talking to the media as far as if you reported any of this, if you had any of this reporting. He then says later, these EVPs don't know shit and do better when getting news from random fucking kids or something like that.
Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself. For what? What did I do? Dave, what did I ever do? What's your name, sir? Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
I made it really clear in Forbes, and I just want to make it clear again. Nick,
it's not his position to make it very fucking clear. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody. Okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not to.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have no commented when Nick first said it. It's my fault, and if I hadn't, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I appreciate
I should have just taken it head on because you never said anything.
But I'm trying to run a fucking business, and when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry. It's a disgrace to this company. Now, we're far beyond apologies, right? I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go.
He also goes off on saying, can't believe Hangman, that, what do you call him, a stupid, he called Hangman Page a, hold on, I have it written here. I sent it in a tweet to somebody. He called Hangman Page, oh, where is it? I'm not gonna be able to find it now. He basically called him a stupid idiot or whatever for going out, doing an interview and saying, oh, here it is. He called him an empty-headed idiot for going out, doing interviews and saying, oh, I don't like to get advice. I don't like to listen to advice. He's like, Punk goes, oh, so you gonna go out and tell Terry Funk you'll never listen to advice? Disrespect this business? And he goes off on a couple of other things and this and that. And yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole to do after the show. And I want to read. Give me 1 second. We may have an update on the CM Punk stuff. But while we do that, I want to remind you guys, head over to, or you can text in to 510-906-1341. Again, that's 510-906-1341. Yes, we do have an update on this, all this fucking, I guess you say, heat on CM Punk from a new report from Fightful. We're going to read that here in a second. So tonight as we talked about, tonight at the media scrum, CM Punk went off on the EVPs and Hangman and Colt Cabana and whatever. And according to a new report from Fightful, Fightful writes the following. Punk garnered an incredible amount of heat for his comments at the AEW All Out post-show scrum. For the record, Fightful originally reported that Punk Cabana news this year, and we've never spoken to Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks outside of interviews. The story emerged from talent frustration and under the impression that Punk and Cabana's ill will towards one another cost the well-liked Cabana a job he's enjoying. Tony Khan denied that was the reason this past week. Cabana eventually got put on the ROH duty. We're told that Cabana had indicated to Khan before Punk's original return that he'd likely not be happy working here if Punk was in the company. CM Punk garnered an incredible amount of heat for his comments at the All Out post-show scrum. Punk ran down his history with Colt Cabana and targeted Hangman Page and the EVPs, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Punk said that Page went into business for himself and almost compromised a huge AEW gate and said the EVPs leaked that info. Immediately after the scrum rant, talent had informed Fightful that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were extremely pissed off, and one claimed that they were threatening to walk over the comments. Fightful Select has been Fightful Select, but had heard prior that at least one of the Young Bucks had been in contact with talent outside of AEW, indicating that many of the rumors heard about Punk and the frustration around him were true. We're told the Elite were scheduled for the scrum, but an adjustment was made around then. Security went around the scrum in a hurry. We learned if that was related. We haven't learned if that was related to this situation, but all of this information filtered at the same time. We're obviously cognizant of we're obviously cognizant of a work in this type of situation, but talent that were contacted were under the impression that the situation was a real one from Punk. One way or another, we'll work to get more details. The heat between Punk and Cabana, as well as Punk towards Hangman, has long been real. Regardless of the situation, Fightful has already heard from several talent that are very upset with his comments. We will also work to gain some stances from those who side with him on the matter. Tony Khan was at the media scrum throughout the entirety of this situation. Tony Khan looked very like, oh, crap. I'm a little mad you're saying this. What the hell? So, many believe that was not a work, and Punk just went on and on and on and on. He's like, because someone said, well, what are your thoughts on you got to work with MJF again now? And he's like, oh, that prick? Yeah, I got to work with a lot of kids and children, but I'm not the boss making the matches here or whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's a shot at Tony freaking Khan. So you put your belt on a guy that's not going to be really respectful to your guys. I don't know. I just don't freaking know. But with that, as far as the text messages and the polls and all that go, let's check the polls first. I also want to say thank you to Gabby Gaman for the tier 1 subscription on Twitch. Really do appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Let's pull up the polls here. As far as the Twitch poll does go, 44% liked the show, 44% thought the show was just all right, and 11% did not like AEW All Out. far as the Twitter poll does go. 41% liked the show, 32% thought it was just all right, and 26% did not like it. And finally, the YouTube poll. YouTube community poll, 59% liked the show, 29% thought it was just all right, and 11% did not like it. Some of the comments here, the acclaimed was the match of the night. I agree. Guy says, guys, I was at the event. Malachi kissed the crowd, hugged HOB, and bowed. That's it, I guess. Yeah, we don't know exactly what all that means. Says, I'm glad Tony won the belt. Well, Tony Khan, I'm getting all these Tonys mixed up. Tony Storm was always planned on winning the title. Whether that was in a match with Thunder Rosa or not, she was going to win. Other people asking if I heard about Malachi Black. Yes. Says, didn't watch. Well, then why fucking comment? Text messages here. This person says, what are your thoughts on CM Punk becoming the new world champion? You're flip-flopping the belt. That's what I think. It says, I really hope MJF is starting a new faction from what happened in the ladder match. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm over AEW and all their fucking factions. AEW's got too many groups. Gang warfare. That's what I say. Gang wars, gang warfare, whatever you want to call it. But regardless of the show, I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was a great pay-per-view. I mean, it was nothing like last year's freaking All Out. Last year's All Out was a great show. This one was a show with a lot of good matches and then a lot of why wasn't that on Rampage? Why wasn't that on Dynamite? Why wasn't that on Rampage? Why wasn't that on Dynamite? Like, got all your matches on the pre-show. All of those could have been Rampage matches, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe you keep Ishii and Kingston for a pay-per-view, like the pre-show, to hype everybody up and go, oh crap, I need to pay for this show and watch the whole thing if it's going to be as good as this, you know. But then the FTW title match, that's a Rampage match. Yeah, the All Atlantic title match, that's a freaking Dynamite mid-show Rampage match. The freaking mixed tag title match, yeah, that didn't need to be on here anywhere. We've already seen that twice. I don't need it again. I mean, the ladder match needs to be on the pay-per-view. The World Trios title match needs to be on the pay-per-view. TBS title match that could have been on Rampage. The Wardlow 6-man tag, whatever you want to, that could have been on Dynamite. Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, we didn't need that at all. That could have been on Rampage. World Tag title match, put that on the pay-per-view. The women's 4-way match wasn't all that good. It was a decent match, but it pay-per-view caliber type of match. It's a title match. Chris Cage, Jungle Boy, if he's really injured, you should have just said he's injured. Should have just said he's injured and not done the freaking match because this was a joke. Jericho Danielson, that's a pay-per-view match, but also could have been like a Dynamite Grand Slam main event. The other trios match, Darby, Sting, Miro versus House of Black, that could have been a Dynamite match. That could have been a Dynamite main event at some point. And then the world title match, of course. You could have cut this down to like a 7-match card instead of 15 and not been 5 hours in total. But that's what they do because they only do 4 pay-per-views. So they try to get as many people on the pay-per-views as possible. I don't know if they do like pay-per-view bonuses and stuff. I don't know that. There's like you work pay-per-view, you get a bonus. So I don't know. But with that, guys, I'll say thank you for joining me here very late. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited if you're watching live, or if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. So with that, guys, have a great night. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. Have a great week. I got a big business meeting in the morning, so I don't know when we're going to get the wrestling wrap-up in, but it will be sometime tomorrow. We will do a wrap-up. And have a great night. I'll see you later. Have a good one, guys.